Привет!
SUP The Twins. Should he play the twins in Dead by Daylight? Well, let's get right into it then. For her design, is she scary or anything? No, but she does look disgusting. I don't think she's really cool or anything. She's pretty unique though. A bit disgusting, so I think that's also good actually. So overall for her design, it's gonna be like, well, it fits in Dead by Daylight, I think, yeah. Like, it's not too cool, not too scary, but it's ugly enough. Fuck. I have to align it again. I have to show my mouth so I can see it when speak. Because if I'm speaking like this, I can't really align it with my mouth, make sure it's good. So if I see my mouth.
Bye.
Bye.
Sucker.
I love your wife.
I love you too, husband.
Thank you for helping.
Sorry, I called you sucker.
No, it's fine. So anyways, I started blasting. Wait for that door. So for her lore, I forgot to read it, but I just read it and caught up, and now I'm gonna tell you the lore. She's a twin. No, not enough. So she was born a twin. Really hard audience, huh? Of course, it was like the 17th centuries. It was the 17th century, you know what I mean. People were not happy with that. Her mother was a witch now and they needed to burn her, and she gave birth to a demon, so all her life she got hunted. And then they got caught at some point, and her mom got burned like a witch and they had to watch. And then they did experiments on them. Then they were trying to get rid of them. But Victor, the little guy here, knocked over some candle, burning the whole place down. I think it was in a church. She started running for her life and then got outside somewhere, and she noticed Victor was dead, and then, you know, that was not good. And for years she carried a dead Victor around because it was just kind of stuck to her. His body was like dying and stuff. Like, was doing what dead bodies do. Either way, she tried to protect him at all costs because that's the only family she had left. And then she was almost dying and she just kind of gave up and embraced death and felt acceptance for the first time. And then Victor was alive again and just out of her and started running on his own. And then she chased after him, yelling after him, obviously, until he saw Victor at the edge of a black fog, and then someone scooped him up. One of the guys in the coats. There were a lot of guys in coats, like the little hoodies. You know, 17th century, then trying to burn people down, you know, those people. So she chased after them with anger, like, I'm gonna kill them all. And that's, you know, she ran into the fog, tricked yet again. It was the entity all along. So yeah, that's pretty much the lore. Now for chase music. The way chase music works, it's in 4 layers. The 4th layer is the furthest away, it's 32 meters. 3rd layer is 18 meters or 16 meters, something like that. The second one is 8 meters away, and the first one is when they're in chase, when they're actively right behind you. You gotta run for your life. First layer is giving a little bit of eerie vibes, but you know, nothing too much. Nothing too outstanding. Oh yeah. Second layer is definitely a bit more intense. I kinda like the second layer. Not too creepy, not too intense, but you know, something's brewing. The 3rd layer is just giving Dead by Daylight vibes. Nothing too special or scary or intense. Way less intense than most 3rd layers, to be honest. No, 4th layer, you have some extra drums again. But it's mostly just the 3rd layer with drums. Nothing too scary, not super intense or anything. Overall, a bit of a... Now for her power, she has Victor. Yep. So basically, you switch between Victor and Charlotte. When you launch Victor, it goes like out of your body, like, and then you have little Victor in 1st person, unlike the good guy where you're in 3rd person. You run really fast as Victor and you charge your little pounds that you can jump on to enemy survivors, where you can jump on the survivors. And if they're not in an injured state, you just hang on to them and then you change automatically back to Charlotte. You have the little white aura of Victor sometimes when he's latched onto a survivor. When you're not latched onto a survivor and just leave Victor behind and change to Charlotte again, then you will have killer instinct on the survivors that are nearby. I think also when they're still in lockers, or even when they're in a dying state. I think that's pretty handy. But if you hit an injured survivor, they go into the down state, which I think is pretty cool actually. So if you then switch to Charlotte, you have the killer instinct of the down survivor, you know exactly where to go. You also have Victor's aura, so you also will know where to go anyways. Or you can just chase the next one if there's more injured survivors. I don't think you have a killer radius when you're playing as Victor. I think you kinda go in an undetectable state like the singularity. Only you just stand there like, I mean Charlotte at least. They can definitely hear the grunts of Victor. They can also kick Victor and disable him more than he's already disabled. Not sure if I'm allowed to say that. Anyways, so if you would miss survivors, they have a window of opportunity to kick Victor, so you become Charlotte again and you can't use Victor for a little bit. If you leave Victor somewhere, they can also do that if you're playing as Charlotte. And Victor's still standing somewhere, then they can get rid of him as well. They also get rid of him if they're doing the interaction thing when he's on top of the survivors. You can also recall him, I think, at some point. I'm not always sure how that works. And also when you hit an injured survivor and they become downed, they also have the same window to kick Victor and get rid of him. So if you're with a bunch of injured survivors and Victor's there and downs one of them, the best thing to do is to not run away, but just kick Victor and start healing your teammate, because it could be that Charlotte is still pretty far away and can't make it back to you, which happens sometimes. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything about the power. They can also not heal themselves or other people, or nor leave the gates. Like leave the game to win if Victor's on them. I'm not sure yet how it works if you then down them with Victor on them. Can they just crawl right back out? I've done this once and they didn't crawl out immediately. So there could be a block to it for a little bit, preventing them from leaving and then hitting them, and then they just leave anyways because they crawl out. But I'm not 100% sure yet. Anyways, overall, I think it's decently fun to play her, which I was very surprised by. At first I didn't like her too much. I also didn't understand it too good. But once you start getting an understanding of it, I started getting like different ideas, like, oh, maybe I could try this out, or I could try that out, or, you know, change a few strategies and then get the hang of it. And, you know, I thought it was pretty fun to try her out a few times. But I also look at the survivor side, if it's fun to play against them. And I've never had fun before playing against the twins. I think I only played against her like 3 or 4 times, but it was never fun at all. And I also don't think that most of the survivors I play against are having fun, because some of the strategies that you kind of have to use or automatically start using because it's just way more interesting as the twins to win the game is a bit of slugging actually. Like I found myself a lot injuring survivors and then downing most of them one by one with Victor, but then I'd have to go look for them and I have to pick them up again. So obviously there's some counter builds to this, but most of the time I found myself just automatically slugging someone to get someone else because it was just way more interesting than just letting them go and then picking up the first one and stuff. I did feel bad for some of the survivors. Yeah, for my overall thoughts, I think she's fun to try out a few times. So if you can find a way to try her out a few times, you could do that. But if you're contemplating to buy her, but you're not sure yet and you still have a lot of options for other killers, I think it's more interesting to save your iridescent shards for other killers. But if you have enough iridescent shards and it's just one of the last ones to get, I mean, sure, you can get her, try her out a few times, see if it works for you. But honestly, for the survivors gameplay, I just wouldn't pick twins too much. Sometimes I was like, I want to try twins out, but I feel like I'm slugging sometimes too much because that's the best option usually in some scenarios. You know, I feel like I'm just ruining other people's day just for an easy win, so to say. Also noticed on the website it said difficulty very hard. I don't think that's true. I mean, I get what they mean. It's a little bit tricky at first, but I started winning games pretty fast with her, so I don't know. Anyways, subscribe for more killer reviews and other things in the future, obviously, because this is not the only thing I do once this is over. I'm not just gonna stop making videos. I'll probably do some other stuff. Anyways, bye, subscribe.